Let's jump right in. Today, we're doing an explainer on a really grim, dark, Gothic fable, a striking allegory built right on top of Nietzschean philosophy. We're looking at the hidden rot inside our cultural ideals. Imagine a narrative where philosophy isn't just sitting in a room thinking abstract thoughts, right? It's a visceral, physical interrogation of reality itself. We're going to walk through this draped, shadowy orchard of human morality and actually test the very foundations of what we call virtue and truth. So let's step into this shadow-draped orchard with a question that kind of shakes the very ground we stand on. What actually happens when the monuments, the rules, and the moralities we hold absolutely most sacred are struck, and instead of ringing with solid truth, they just echo, like a vast, empty void? That's the central mystery we're unpacking today. We're using the tools of diagnostic philology, which is basically tracing how the true meanings of our words and values get twisted over time, to translate the sounds of our culture into the stark truth of human vitality.
Okay, part one, the resonance of the bronze idols.
Now, when you think of a philosopher with a hammer, you probably picture a sledgehammer, right? Just mindless, vulgar destruction. But here, the core tool of our story is completely redefined. The hammer is actually a tuning fork. It's an instrument of extreme precision. Our traveler uses it to strike the culture's most sacred statues, seeking to diagnose the true frequency of being.
I absolutely love this because our traveler isn't here to just blindly smash everything in sight. He approaches like a metallurgist. By tapping on the bronze skin of these cultural idols, he's actively listening. He's listening for either the heavy, golden density of lived natural power or the hollow, echoing void of decadence. This diagnostic strike is the very first step in separating what is actually vital from what is simply dead weight.
Which brings us to part two, the echo of the hollow sanctuary.
Picture this suffocating gloom. Beneath a canopy that totally blocks out the real world, our traveler discovers that existence has been turned into a mere shadow of reality. He finds altars built to shadow kings. You can think of these as the unquestioned dogmas or rigid authorities we deal with today. He finds invisible, bloodless sanctuaries. It's this dark, eerie environment where the vibrant natural world has been entirely devalued, literally replaced by a sterile, ghostly imitation of life.
And when the hammer finally strikes, the idols don't chime with the dense resonance of sturdy metal. No, they echo with a lie. This hollow sound reveals a hidden etymology of decay. Over centuries, the word virtue has been completely twisted. Ironically, it's become a mask for the castration of natural instinct. The so-called true world these idols represent is exposed as a linguistic fable, just a hollow shell built on a profound fear of the actual physical earth.
Moving on to part three, the philology of the silk veil.
To really navigate the deeper meaning of this fable, we kind of need a decoder ring to map the physical symbols to their philosophical reality. So the hammer, that's diagnostic precision. The silk veil represents decadent morality. It's the comforting lie that shields us. The deadwood stands for exhausted ideals that just don't serve life anymore. And the rust, that represents sheer cultural exhaustion, that deep, creeping decay eating away at our foundations.
So we have this stark contrast at the heart of our story. On one side, you've got the true sky and this silk veil, a linguistic sanctuary woven by pale gatherers. It's a bloodless stillness meant to protect the weak from the deep soil. But on the flip side, we have the actual earth and the piercing sun. This is visceral reality. Yes, it contains ontological violence, the harsh, unavoidable struggles and pain of simply existing, but it's also a tutor of root strength. It's the unfiltered reality that the veil is desperately trying to hide from us. You see, the pale gatherers wove this grammatical shield because they were absolutely terrified of the sun's harsh reality. They wove a veil to protect wilting, diseased plants over the ones that naturally thrive in the unfiltered glare. They took the concept of growth, scrubbed it of its inherent pain, and rebranded the sun as pure terror. And in doing so, they castrated the definition of virtue, turning an inability to endure life's abundance into something they glorified as peace of the soul. It is a total, suffocating inversion of natural strength.
Let's look at part four, the noonday interrogation. At this exact hour, the hour of noon, when the sun is highest, the shadows are shortest, and reality is at its absolute most piercing, the hammer-bearer brings his diagnostic strike to the very foundations of the true sky. There is literally nowhere left for the gloom to hide. The hour of noon represents that moment of ultimate clarity, where all those comforting lies are finally subjected to the unforgiving light of day. The hammer-bearer takes these precise, methodical steps to expose the hollow frequency hidden beneath the veil. First, he strikes the foundations. Second, he listens carefully for that hollow echo. Third, he interrogates the veil itself, basically demanding to know why humanity traded the lightning of vital instinct for a suffocating blanket. And fourth, he identifies the parasitic morality, the system that has dangerously labeled the natural growth of the strong as a sin. And this brings us to a devastating, almost tragically ironic realization. Humanity has come to worship the very rust that eats its own anchors. I mean, it's almost funny in a morbid kind of way. Because of a profound philological error, the pale gatherers have totally embraced a blanket of cultural exhaustion. They are mistakenly worshiping the decay, the rust, instead of the sturdy iron of the ship that actually keeps them grounded in reality. They've just traded vitality for the illusion of safety. And finally, Part 5, the pruning of the graveyard. The absolutely crucial point here is understanding this concept of transvaluation. It's not an act of chaotic ruin. Actually, it's a restorative process. Once the hammer's resonance has separated the deadwood of exhausted ideals from the living roots of true power, a transvaluation restores the proper philology of power. It's really about realigning our values with the actual, thriving natural world, rather than with those hollow idols. This fierce pruning is a surgical necessity for the sun-drenched garden. It's required to stop the ultimate decadence outlined in our fable, bleeding the vitality of the strong in order to sustain a hollow, barren ideal. Think about it. If you don't clear out the dead wood of the cemetery, the living roots are starved. The pruning deliberately stops this unnatural drain of energy. In the exact moment of rupture, the frail obstacle of the true sky is torn apart by the sheer, undeniable resonance of the hammer. The veil, which for so long shielded the pale gatherers from the sun's ancient eye, just splits open. That comforting linguistic sanctuary is destroyed, leaving absolutely nothing but the hard, brilliant truth. With the veil finally torn, we see the end of the winter of man. The living are no longer suppressed by the suffocating gloom of shadow kings. They're finally allowed to grow according to the strength of their own roots, and they are completely free to thrive beneath the violent, unfiltered glare of the ancient sun. It's a return to a fierce, liberating, and totally affirmative reality. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, provocative question to consider about your own ideals as you step back out into unfiltered reality of the actual Earth. Look really closely at the values you champion in your own life. Are the anchors you hold onto built of living strength, rooted in the visceral reality of life, or have you been worshiping the rust? Thanks for exploring this dark fable with me. Keep listening for the true resonance.